Hello, and welcome to our lesson on communications and expectations. This segment will cover basics of communication concepts in project leadership. The complexity of project communication is a result of many sources: the number of people, parties we must communicate with, the methods of communication, the variations in type of communication, and the potential blockers to that communication. Each of these can be magnified by the complex and multidisciplinary nature of the project team. One of the primary factors contributing to the complexity of project communication is the sheer number of people involved. In any given project, there are typically multiple stakeholders, team members, clients, vendors, and other parties who need to be kept informed and engaged throughout the project lifecycle. Each of these individuals may have different roles, responsibilities, and interests in the project, requiring tailored communication strategies to effectively address their needs and concerns. Moreover, the parties that project managers must communicate with extend beyond the immediate project team. Depending on the project scope and scale, communication may need to occur with external stakeholders such as regulatory bodies, government agencies, community groups, and the public. Each of these stakeholders may have distinct expectations, requirements, and communication preferences, adding another layer of complexity to the communication process. The complexity of multiple channels, a communication channel, is simply a path through which communication can travel. There, 6 channels among 4 team members. It makes sense each team member must maintain a communication channel with every other member. But what if we introduce a new person to the team? Communication channels. The illustrations make it clear that adding more people adds many more channels, all of which need to be monitored, maintained, and regularly clarified. By adding just 2 new members, we already have 9 new channels. This presents a need for the project leader to consider not only how many channels exist in total, but also which communication channels should be managed more closely. Because of these issues presented in this scenario, many experts believe that there is a practical limit to how large a functioning team can be. Levels of complexity are further enhanced when multiple teams work together. In these situations, project leaders must make decisions about the number of channels that their teams will maintain with others outside the team. In some cases, the best course of action may be for the project leaders themselves to act as a single point of exit or entry for all outside communication. If not properly thought out, this can result in a single point of failure if the leader is absent or a poor communicator, a grave risk to the project's success. Communication channels. Communication channels in project leadership play a vital role in ensuring the success of a project. These channels serve as the pathways through which information flows between project managers, team members, stakeholders, and other relevant parties. Effective communication channels facilitate the exchange of ideas, updates, feedback, decisions, and critical information necessary for decision-making and problem-solving. There are several key communication channels commonly used in project leadership. Face-to-face communication. Face-to-face communication remains one of the most powerful and impactful channels in project leadership. It allows for immediate feedback, clarification, and the exchange of nonverbal cues such as facial expressions and body language. Face-to-face meetings, one-on-one discussions, team huddles, and workshops enable project leaders to build rapport, foster trust, and address issues in real time. Communication channels. Written communication. Written communication encompasses various forms such as emails, memos, reports, project documentation, and official correspondence. Written communication provides a record of conversations, decisions, and agreements, serving as a reference for future actions and accountability. Project leaders often use written communication to disseminate project updates, share important documents, and formalize agreements with stakeholders. Virtual communication. With the increasing globalization and remote work trends, virtual communication channels have become indispensable in project leadership. Video conferences, teleconferences, webinars, and online collaboration platforms facilitate real-time communication and collaboration among geographically dispersed teams. Virtual communication channels enable project leaders to overcome geographical barriers, foster inclusivity, and promote teamwork across different time zones and locations. Collaboration tools. Collaboration tools such as project management software, document sharing platforms, task management systems, and instant messaging apps streamline communication and coordination within project teams. These tools centralize project information, streamline workflow processes, and enhance transparency and accountability. Project leaders leverage collaboration tools to assign tasks, track progress, manage resources, and facilitate seamless collaboration among team members. Formal meetings and presentations. Formal meetings, presentations, and status updates serve as structured communication channels for sharing project progress, discussing key milestones, addressing challenges, and aligning stakeholders' expectations. These forums provide opportunities for project leaders to communicate project goals, priorities, and strategies, solicit feedback, and engage stakeholders in decision-making processes. Effective communication channels are essential for project leaders to convey vision, inspire confidence, and drive alignment among project stakeholders. By leveraging a combination of face-to-face communication, written communication, virtual communication, collaboration tools, and formal meetings, project leaders can foster a culture of open communication, collaboration, and accountability, ultimately leading to the successful execution and completion of projects. Based on everything set up to now, we will try to summarize most of the communication channels. Because so many potential channels exist, a project leader must be careful to strategically choose channels properly based on both what is being said and how it should be perceived. A simple example is illustrated by the phrase, "A picture is worth 1,000 words." If a picture is needed to communicate a particular message, certain channels are immediately eliminated. Additionally, differences exist in how channels are perceived and whether they are even viable options. Mass communication such as billboards and automobile recall notices are seen as less personal and may also be ignored by their receivers. Highly specialized communication such as handwritten notes or one-on-one phone calls. Types of communication. In addition to a myriad of channels, there are also dozens of types of communication. The type of communication you choose to use can have a huge effect on how that communication is received. Essentially, the type of communication, as well as the medium or channel chosen, is a part of the message itself. Some include internal and external. These communications vary based on whom they are directed to. External, to the organization, team, etc. Communications tend to be more formal. Formal and informal. Official. Formal communications often require much more work and approval. Unofficial. Informal communications usually adopt an interpersonal tone. Vertical and horizontal. The way that higher-ups are addressed often varies widely from the way team members communicate with one another. In the case of a project leader, vertical communication could include management, written and oral. These two common types of communication can have very different implications, especially down the line. Written communication is often considered more permanent, whereas oral communication can be more appropriate in certain situations. Which of these you choose to use may have a big effect on how the message is perceived and may even carry legal repercussions down the road. Verbal, nonverbal, and paralingual. When we communicate, our messages are influenced both by what we say and how we say it. Verbal communication is almost always accompanied by nonverbal, posture, gestures, expression, etc., and paralingual, pitch, tone of voice, channel, etc., cues. Other types of communication may or may not include these. For example, is typing in all caps considered shouting? With so many channels, types, and different parties with which we communicate, the potential exists for breakdowns, also known as communication blockers. This is the end of this segment of our lesson. In the next segment, we will continue discussing basics of communication concepts in project leadership. This course is presented to you by South Europe College. Thank you for listening, and see you on our next segment.